What's going on, guys? It's Big Sarge here, bringing you a mock draft. I only wanted to do one of these this year. It's been pretty crazy with COVID and how things have worked out as far as teams doing their research on drafting players and as well just trading players around. It's just been very different compared to past years. I'm trying to keep track of everything. So I waited a little while. I did a lot of research and kind of came up with this mock draft that I think is very fitting and can be very accurate. But before we jump into that, I want to take a quick moment just to thank my family, my wife, and I got 2 kids and a lot of family that have helped me out with some of this stuff. So I just want to say thank you to them, and then we're going to move right into it. I want to thank Mock Draft Database. I used these guys last year to put up a video using all their software for my mock draft, and honestly, it's just been the greatest site I've ever been able to find. There's several out there that, they want this or they want that or they want you to buy a subscription. I'm not about that life. I like to do mock drafts. I do a bunch of them. I don't like to be restricted by anything, and these are the guys if you want them. They do take donations to keep their website up and running, so just some food for thought there. But let's go ahead and jump in and create our mock draft. As you can see, their page is fairly simple to find anything you're looking for. But today we are just doing a mock draft. I'm going to do all 32 teams. 2021, we're going to do the first round. See, this is why I like the site. Look at all these different settings for everything. I'm going to be doing it by myself, so we're not going to mess with any of the speed or anything or the realistic because I'm doing everything. I am going to do a free-for-all trade, and the only reason for that is so I can make the trades I want without having to worry about haggling back and forth, and instead of taking up a bunch of time in the video to make these picks work, I will kind of go through what I think the prices will be for the trade. So this is going to be Big Sarge's official mock draft, and we'll just tack in a video there so that everybody understands. So with the first overall pick, I feel like this is fairly obvious, and so I won't go too far into it, but it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. The Jags have been a floundering franchise for as long as I can remember, and I'm a Colts fan, so I've been sharing their division. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to make it very difficult for the Colts over the next 15 years or so. So we'll just go ahead and lock him in there. There's no way you can't take him. Some of these other quarterbacks have shown a lot of skill in college, but overall, it's Trevor Lawrence. If you don't take him and he does well, you'll never, ever live it down. It will destroy a franchise. So then we come over to the Jets. They got a new head coach in Robert Saleh, who was the 49ers defensive coordinator. And this is where I think things get tricky. I think everybody has Zach Wilson slid in there. But in my opinion, this kid came out. He wasn't even necessarily guaranteed the starter. And then he came out and showed up and had a great season, with COVID going on, and had some bad moments. But overall, he showed some great work. And a lot of people think the gap between Trevor Lawrence and him is very close. And I would agree, except to the point that there's not a large volume or body of work. And that worries me with some of these quarterbacks coming out. Do some of them work out? Absolutely. So I could be wrong. But I don't think that Robert Saleh, a defensive coordinator who is not a quarterback guru, goes with Zach Wilson. I think he takes the player with the body of work that most suits him. They smoke screened everybody. And they go with Justin Fields, who's always kind of been the 2 to Trevor Lawrence's 1 for years, I think Fields comes out. He's a little bit more polished than Zach Wilson. I think he's seen things, and he's very, very smart. People don't understand that this dude got offers to serious schools that not a lot of football players get because, honestly, some football players aren't that smart. No offense to them, but Justin Fields has shown that he's a very intelligent person. So I think that Robert Saleh goes with him. He can get out of trouble while they build that team around him, and I just think that he will fit in well with the New York market there. Here's where I think that maybe Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan had a conversation. Pretty sure it's probably illegal. Can't have a conversation about who you're going to do certain things with, but maybe it's not. So I think that's why the 49ers jumped up so aggressively to the number 3 spot, while everybody in the world thinks, they can't know who's going to be there. And they talked about, there's 3 of the 5 quarterbacks that they think are going to be great. And I think they get Zach Wilson and Kyle Shanahan, who is a quarterback guru, molds this guy with not a lot of body of work into a fantastic franchise player. I think Jimmy Garoppolo probably starts the season. However, he has had lots of injuries, and I think that Zach Wilson is a great security blanket for that, but also can learn a lot of the system and kind of absorb everything Kyle Shanahan has, because he is a very intelligent coach as well. So I think that'll be my big surprise in the first top 3 picks, is they'll all be quarterbacks. I just disagree how they're set up, and I disagree heavily that Mac Jones is the guy that thinks is going to be there. So we go to the Falcons. This pick's obvious. I mean, Kyle Pitts, I believe they said it's going to be he'll be 20 at the beginning of the season. And to be 20 years old and have possibly the best college tight end career ever, you can't pass on this guy. I mean, I understand that no tight end's ever been taken higher than 5, I believe, which was like Mike Ditka and another guy. But Kyle Pitts is absolutely worth the risk. You've committed to having Matt Ryan, so you keep Julio Jones, you don't trade him away, you figure out your cap problems some other way, and then you get Kyle Pitts, and you're just ready to try to make a run at it. I mean, you don't have a lot of time left with Matt Ryan, so if you're not going to trade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and some of these other guys on this team, you have to go all in on it. And so I think they do with Kyle Pitts. To the Bengals, their O-line needs help. I know everybody loves the idea of Jamar Chase going back and just murdering it with Joe Burrow, but I think they go Penei Sewell, who might upset half the fan base, might make a lot of them happy. Joe Burrow might not even be happy because it's not the sexy pick, but this is the right guy for this system that will protect Joe Burrow and keep his knees from taking a beating and the Bengals ruining another quarterback's career. But this makes the Dolphins happy. The Dolphins have moved around a little bit. They've been trying to figure out their team situation. Tua and Fitzpatrick were a little flip-flop last year. I told the Dolphins last year in my draft, do not pass on Herbert. Herbert was a safer, stronger, better pick in my opinion, and I think the Dolphins are going to pay for it in the long run. However, they know they need to build a team around Tua to try to give him the best chance for success. So I think with that, they take the best wide receiver in the class who opted out, Jamar Chase, and I think he has a fine season, but I think the Dolphins do not compete in their division. I think they kind of fall apart even with the good defense. I have no faith in Tua. No offense. So we come here, and this is where I'm going to make my first trade. Everybody's kind of speculating that the Lions will trade. I think that they don't want to go too far back. Like, they don't want to go with New England because that'll move them kind of out of reach of some of the players they want. And they are starving for talent. You get rid of Stafford, you got Goff. I mean, the rest of the team it's not a great roster. I mean, they got DeAndre Swift last year, who I think is a very capable running back. They lost Galladay and Marvin Jones, and I think even Jamal Agnew. So they just get completely decimated in free agency. So I think you trade back, get some extra picks, but you don't want to trade too far back and miss out on a blue chip prospect that you really think can at least make you relevant this year. So they're going to go ahead and trade back with the Broncos. Crazy update here. I was literally in the process of trimming my video and getting it ready to be uploaded to my YouTube channel, and the Denver Broncos decided to trade for Teddy Bridgewater. From what I saw, it looks like it's a 6th-round pick or so. I don't think this will affect the way they draft, and I still think that they make this trade with the Lions and move up the 2 slots, pay a little bit extra, and they take Trey Lance. I believe that they got Bridgewater just in case they couldn't get Trey Lance, but if Trey Lance falls and they're able to trade up with the Lions, I think they still do it. And my reasoning is that they are desperate for a quarterback. In my video, I had talked a little bit about why they were so desperate. They were loaded on offense and defense and ready to compete. I think this is doubling down on it. They'll go into their offseason with Locke, Bridgewater, and Lance. They will see who is the best and who shows the most potential, and they'll keep 2 of them and trade 1 of them away probably. I think this is a bad situation for Locke. I think Bridgewater is a very capable quarterback. He didn't do great last year, but I think he does have a ton of skills. So it's funny, I just wanted to show you. I'm in the middle of editing this video, and this trade comes in, so I wanted to update it, let you guys know that I still think my pick's going to be what it is, and I think that they're just doubling down on quarterback, and the Broncos are ready to win. So we'll see how it plays out. I'll continue with the rest of the video in the way I did, and we shall see. We go with the Panthers. The Panthers need some O-line help. I mean, there's a lot of running around going on. Christian McCaffrey's flying all over the place until he gets injured. Teddy Bridgewater's running for his life. But they have a solid group. But with Rashawn Slater coming in, it really will take their talent level to the next level. So they can have a good competition there in this offseason if they're allowed to. And then ultimately they can put the best 5 offensive linemen on the field for Matt Rule, who's trying to protect Darnold that they brought over in the trade. Maybe Bridgewater will go somewhere and they'll pick up another, free agent offensive lineman and kind of build the depth there. But at some point, I think they're going to have to figure out maybe their defense in a different way. They went all defense last year in the draft, but I think they honestly could go all offense this draft. Matt Rule knows that the offense gets you a lot of attention and makes games exciting, makes fans happy, and the defense kind of, they win ball games. I'm not saying that the offense is always going to win the ball game. Look at the Super Bowl where the Bucs defense just totally annihilated Patrick Mahomes. So they have a good core defense with Jeremy Chin and Brian Burns, and I just think their offense is going to need a lot of bolstering up. They got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, lost Curtis Samuel, got Christian McCaffrey. I think they even re-signed Mike Davis, and then Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold finally comes into a team that actually is ready to compete, and the Panthers make sure that he stays healthy by getting Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. So it's a great pick for them. I think it works out well. Here's where the Lions traded back. The Lions literally moved back 2 spots and still nail the guy they want. They understand Jared Goff's here. They understand they lost, basically all of their wide receivers. So they need a Cooper Kupp for Goff here in Detroit. So they go ahead and take Devontae Smith. I think he's fantastic. A lot of people are talking about different things with size and weight and all that. But, I think that's okay. He proved in college he's very capable. And I know the NFL is a little bit tougher. But, look at Tyreek Hill. A lot of people didn't even know that dude's name until all of a sudden he started exploding on the scene, including myself. I remember him being drafted, but I don't remember ever thinking like, oh, my God, this guy's going to be great. So the Lions move back, get more picks, get their guy, and hope to at least start to compete in their own division because they have to make it out of their own division before they can even compete in the conference. So they get some good skill here. I just heard this morning that some people think the Cowboys could trade back. No, there's no way. They need this cornerback, Patrick Surtain. Everybody's talking about it. I don't disagree with them. Normally, I think people get a lot of hype and they just run with it, and then all of a sudden it gets blown out of proportion. But Patrick Surtain is a very, very capable cornerback who maybe isn't the most physically gifted, but he is very intelligent. Played on this Alabama defense that, honestly was really good. So I think locking him up takes Dallas's defense to the next level. They're still struggling a little bit. They'll still need a lot of work, but this at least allows them to stop opponents. If you look last year, Dak Prescott was on pace for like a stupid amount of passing yards per game because he literally was just having to air it out to keep up with these other teams, and they were still losing. So if you can't stop the enemy, then how did you win? They gave this big deal to Dak. They've got big deals for Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott. Michael Gallup's there. You got the rookie wide receiver that came in last year and did very good. And I want to say it was CeeDee Lamb. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. But they have all the weapons on offense. They could use offensive line depth help, but Patrick Surtain really allows their defense to hopefully stop some people so that they actually can win games while scoring 40 points and not be losing games while scoring 40 points. So I think it works out really well for them. I just can't believe they would trade back at all. So then we go to the New York Giants. I kind of thought around this pick a lot, maybe offensive line, maybe thought they could use some wide receiver help, but ultimately I think their defense is what needs help. So we're going to go with Micah Parsons here out of Penn State. I tried to trade down. I just really couldn't find anybody that made me feel like it would work. Their offense is kind of set up well, but I just think that Micah Parsons will allow them to be a little bit more versatile and have a lot more success on their defense to keep up with this crazy offense that some of these division players are building. All right, and then we'll go to one of their division opponents. We got the Eagles here. I love some of the moves they've made, and I love their new head coach, Nick Sirianni. And I think some of the wheeling and dealing they've been going on, has been really good for them. I don't like the Wentz trade. As a Colts fan, I love that we got him that cheap. I just think that it was not very well panned out. I understand trying to get rid of Wentz and get that fresh start with Hurts, but Hurts showed a lot of the same struggles that Wentz had after the Saints game. The Saints game, he did really well, but after that, you started seeing a lot of the same struggles. So I'm not sure that I agreed with getting rid of Carson Wentz like that. I know he hasn't been healthy, and there's been some issues, and Doug Peterson gets fired, but Nick Sirianni is going to come in. I think he'll do a really good job, and I think one of the first things he does is convinces his GM to trade down again. I think Arizona wants to come up, and I think the Eagles are not committed to a pick here, so they move down, collect maybe a couple second-round picks, maybe this year, next year, third-round pick. It won't be super expensive, but it won't be super cheap either. They moved up 4 spots here. And I believe that the Arizona Cardinals did this knowing what they wanted, and they just weren't willing to wait and risk him being gone. So they go with Jalen Waddell out of Alabama. This guy comes in. He just fits perfectly into Cliff Kingsbury's offense. They've got a lot of weapons there. I saw somebody had the Cardinals taking a running back, which is crazy to me. I think they are happy with Connor being enough depth for the running back room after what they already have. And then you got A.J. Green, old. I don't know that he's going to be super reliable. They're clearly going all in. They brought A.J. Green, Connor, Watt, these big names in to try to, get over that hump and get to the playoffs. And I think that they do help themselves very well here with Jalen Waddell, who can come in and help eliminate some of that pressure off Hopkins in the run game, and Kyler Murray, who sometimes ends up running for his life. It's going to be tough for defenses. Jalen Waddell is going to come in, and I think he's going to be very, very good. I don't think he's going to be Justin Jefferson good, but I think he has a very, very good season opposite of Hopkins and Cliff Kingsbury's air raid offense. So I think that this was a very good pick for them. They don't have to pay crazy amounts, but I think that it works out really well in the long term for them, having such a great set of wide receiver weapons. So here comes Justin Herbert. This is the guy I told the Dolphins to take last year. Clearly, I'm nobody. They don't listen to me. They missed out. Herbert showed up. I think the only thing that they need to focus on right now is keeping Herbert healthy, because without him, they're just a crap team. So they go ahead, and they're going to take Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. They hit a grand slam with Justin Herbert, and now they pair him with a young tackle that they can grow up together, and they can keep their prize safe. And Darrisaw's done nothing but improve every year and has really kind of made himself known as an elite pass protector in college. So I think that this just works out way too well. Then we come to the Vikings, who I've seen a ton of people have Elijah Vera Tucker going here. I just don't know that he's worth this high of a pick. But I also really couldn't figure out a good trade to trade down for them. And so I started thinking about Mike Zimmer, and if I was in Mike Zimmer's shoes, I know I'm this great defensive coach, but my defensive line kind of fell to crap last year, and we're in a division with Aaron Rodgers, and we watched him get his butt beat in the playoffs by the Bucs defense. So I think I gotta I got to get my groove going in. I'm a defensive coach, so let me think about somebody that can help me get to Rodgers and really mess up what he's got going on. And Kwity Paye out of Michigan just fits that. They could use some DB help. That's for sure. But I just think that coming in and taking possibly the best edge player in Kwity Paye just works too well. Zimmer will coach him up. They'll get back to having a pretty solid defense, and hopefully they figure things out and can try to get to Rodgers more. But every team watched how the Bucs did their business last year and set this defense up to just make everybody run for their life and how well it worked out. So I think a lot of picks this year are kind of made in the same thought process. So the Vikings go with Kwity Paye here, and they'll figure out maybe an interior offensive lineman later. In the second round, they kind of will come into it. They'll be in a good spot to have a pick of a couple of them, as long as they don't just randomly go on a run of interior offensive linemen, which I doubt. So good pick here for Mike Zimmer, and I think it overall helps the team very well. And old Bill Belichick, this guy. I have talked to lots of family about and friends about Bill Belichick and how I think he's a mastermind. And he knew last year was going to kind of be a tanking situation, but they still didn't end up high enough really to steal a super highly touted quarterback. But in this quarterback class, it was, fairly deep as far as people seeing talent and whatnot. A guy named Mac Jones slides back. This guy was better than Tua. He ran the Alabama offense, fairly well. And, he's had some stuff. I heard the DUI, and I saw one article that said he had DUIs and all this character flaw stuff. Bill Belichick will beat that out of him, or Mac Jones will just completely crumble. But I think Bill Belichick takes Mac Jones and, they coach him up and bring him into a good culture that sets him up for success. And, he's talented. I don't know that, in this draft class, he really stands out because of how talented some of these guys' arms and legs are. But Mac Jones, he's talented. He has the tools to succeed. But Alabama quarterbacks, they make me nervous. But if anybody can figure it out, it'll be Bill Belichick. Mac Jones goes to the perfect situation for himself. So I think that works out well. So we come back to Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, who traded back and collected some more draft capital because he knows he's in a dumpster fire. He gets with Roseman. He says, "Hey, we're on fire. We need lots and lots of help to extinguish this fire and really get back in the game and make us relevant." Excuse me. I'm a Colts fan, and I love Sirianni. So I think they could go offense here, but I just don't know that that's their focus right now. They got Jalen Hurts, and obviously they want to give him some success. They have done horrible at drafting wide receivers in the first round, so I think they avoid that. And with that, they go with J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. And my thought process in this was every time I watched an Eagles game, I watched the offense, the opposing team's offense, basically target whoever was across from Darius Slay. I know a lot of times it was Avonte Maddox, and I forget the other guy's name, but they really were getting lots of good chunk plays and consistent play on anybody opposite of Slay. Slay did not do as great as I thought he could last year either. I think he had a tough year coming to, the Eagles. But I think that if you take J.C. Horn and you have Darius Slay on one side and Horn on another, I just think that helps so much, and it gives your offense more time to be on the field and more chances and opportunities to try to score and figure things out. And with the wide receiver depth this year, I think that the Eagles make a great choice by trading down here. And possibly ending up with 2 picks in the second round where they could target maybe a lineman and wide receiver. So, Nick Sirianni, hated to see him go to the Eagles because they were in such a bad situation, and I knew he could be a good head coach. I don't care about his press conference. Not everybody's great talkers. And I think that he just plays this so smart and says, "Harry Roseman, we need to figure out this defense so that our offense stands a chance," and they take J.C. Horn and nail it. So I'm very excited about that pick, as you can probably tell in my voice. I just think that was excellent work by Roseman and Sirianni and the Eagles organization trying to get out from under themselves. They won the Super Bowl, and then they just have been kind of embarrassing. I think a lot of that may have been on Wentz, but I think the O-line fell apart and the defense wasn't great. And there's just a lot of factors, and I think that they pull it together here by taking J.C. Horn and getting a couple other good picks in this draft. All right, so we come to the Raiders. I've liked the Raiders. I loved Derek Carr. I wasn't a fan of Gruden coming there. I think Mike Mayock was not the greatest choice in a GM, although I know he's very intelligent, could probably talk circles around me and make me look stupid. But I just didn't ever feel like, oh yeah, the Raiders are turning around. Raiders are going to be somebody this year. They got rid of, Khalil Mack several years ago. I didn't like how they were going around. And then they have all this draft capital in the first round a couple years ago. And, I love Josh Jacobs. I think that worked out well. But, some of the picks they made they just were stupid to me, if that's, okay to say. I think they realize they have tons and tons of high caliber draft capital invested in this defense, and it sucked last year. So they're trying to figure out, we feel like our front's good and we feel like our back's okay. And, maybe it's the linebacking core. And I looked at it and I kind of thought, if they had this guy, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, hopefully I didn't butcher your name, I apologize. I think that this versatile guy who is crazy athletic, I think that he could come in and maybe, allow their defense to play better. If he could come in, command the defense, and kind of eliminate some of that craziness going on there and allow just the front to rush and just the back to cover and kind of keep things under control, I think that'd be great. So I think they end up taking J.O.K. out of Notre Dame, who played in kind of a pretty specialized system where he had to be very intelligent. So I think that shows how smart he is. I think they take their defense to the next level, and then hopefully they can figure out their offense going forward. We come back to the Dolphins. We took Jamar Chase early, trying to help Tua, trying to figure it out. I went in a lot of depth of that, so I won't go crazy here. But I think they take Tevin Jenkins, who's a big, nasty offensive tackle at Oklahoma State. And I think they just continue to build around Tua. So I love Jenkins. I think he's a great fit. Hopefully this helps Tua. We'll move on to Washington. And Washington's in a spot where I really, 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 really bad wanted to trade down. I just could not find a good partner, couldn't find the right value. And so I honestly sat here for quite a while, and I thought, do I think Elijah Vera Tucker is worth this high of a pick? No. Do I think that Washington could really bring him in and he would be a starter and it would help this team? Yes. I don't think they're far off from where Vera Tucker is slotted in skill, but it's not that sexy pick. The Washington Redskins have been making moves, and Ron Rivera's been doing some awesome stuff. Alex Smith retires. They lose that. Their quarterback situation's kind of a mess, but they got great weapons with Curtis Samuel they just signed, and Terry McLaurin, and the running backs room's figuring it out. So I just think that this is the right pick. It's the right pick. Don't move back. Take Elijah Vera Tucker. Make your defense solid. And honestly, I think I'll say 3rd to 4th round, they could get Davis Mills out of Stanford, and I think that he could come in and perform very well for their offense. So their defense is great. They really need a linebacker. Didn't like any fits here. They go ahead and take Elijah Vera Tucker, and they worry about quarterback and linebacker in the next two rounds and figure that out. Bears, I got a cousin who's a massive Bears fan, and I kind of explained how I saw everything playing out, and he loved it. He loved this pick. And then I had another cousin who, wasn't super happy about the pick, but I think that with Fuller leaving, the Bears, have always had a pretty stellar defense, and their offense could use some help. They signed Dalton to try to figure it out. I think Dalton is more than adequate, and so I think they fill their biggest need at cornerback here with Caleb Farley. He's had some health stuff, but he is so physically gifted, and his size and length just match up so well to boundary wide receivers. I think he's the perfect replacement. He's cheaper, but I think he's better. So it works out really well for them. I know that some people would like some offensive help, but I think that this is a very, very solid pick for the Bears. And Ryan Pace has been talking about being aggressive and all this stuff and all this craziness, and Wilson. And, I think they just calm down, take a deep breath, fix your cornerback situation, trust Andy Dalton, and then pick up some best player available in the draft. Don't try to force like you did with Trubisky and throw away a bunch of picks on nothing. So just trust the process, pick the players that are solid, and the Bears hopefully turn things around a little bit. So like I said, I'm a massive Colts fan, ridiculously massive Colts fan, but I'm also just a football lover. So I saw Jalen Phillips here, and I honestly thought, medical stuff, but man, that dude has some great tape. He is a monster. But I don't know that Ballard's willing to risk everything on somebody with that bad of medical stuff. But I tell you who is willing to risk that. Let's go all the way down here. The Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are in a position where They have no real weaknesses. They have tons of strengths. And I think the Buccaneers... Oh, why is this not working? There we go. I think the Buccaneers call the Colts, who, Bruce Arians has a great relationship with, and they say, listen, we want to come up. We want to take your pick. We'll give you a couple second-round picks, maybe this year, next year, maybe a third round somewhere in there. And Ballard, who loves to hit guys in that kind of target area, is super happy to get the call. So he accepts it. The Colts move back. They're still in the first round, but it kind of puts them in the range where they're looking for, an edge player or a tackle, maybe even a wide receiver. Who knows? And so they're very happy with this pick because they need to accrue some new picks after losing some on the Wentz trade. So I think they trade back, and I think the Bucs come up here knowing that, Jets, Titans, even, the Steelers, Jags, Browns, all are maybe looking at that defensive edge, kind of defensive line territory. And so they jump all of them. They jump right up. They go ahead and take Jalen Phillips. They say, screw the medical stuff. We're not going to play him every snap. We just need somebody with a ton of motor and skill to put in our rotation of D-line and keep this train a-rolling. So now, not only did they bring back everybody, they're possibly getting enough cap room to sign Antonio Brown. I believe that was tonight or this morning or last night that I heard that. And they think, we're set at wide receiver. We're pretty solid at quarterback. Not worried about it. Offensive line is doing good. Feel really good about our safety cornerback situation. Linebackers, we're happy. So let's just keep bolstering up our defensive line. Let's get another guy to throw in the rotation. We don't have to worry about his medical stuff as much if we're not playing him every single down. He just kind of rotates in, keeps everybody fresh. And this defensive line is scary. So Bruce Arians probably going to run it back. I could definitely see them going to the Super Bowl next year, barring, like a 49er situation where there's millions of injuries. So good for them. I think this trade might make some people laugh, but hopefully I have to explain my reasoning. It seems more realistic. And I honestly really thought about the trade a lot, and I kept looking where the Colts could move back because they love to do that. I'll be up till midnight waiting for the Colts pick that may never come. But I think Ballard finds great value here. Bucks do give away some of their picks, but who cares? I mean, they're loaded. They don't care. They're going all in on it again, just like last year. So I think this trade makes a lot of sense, and I think that it makes the Bucs very scary and hopefully allows the Colts a chance to pick a player more in the zone that they're looking at. We'll zoom through the Titans pick. Corey Davis did not work out. They need somebody to come in there and help their wide receiver core and eliminate being able to load the box on Derrick Henry, which sucks for anybody facing them, including the Colts twice a year. So they're going to go Rashad Bateman, wide receiver. Very, very good player. Plays way larger than he is. He'd be a great fit for the Titans and hopefully can be that guy that they hoped Corey Davis was. So we'll keep moving. The Jets, lots of holes. They get their quarterback. They've got, some interesting wide receiver prospects. Their O-line needs some help, but they really, really want to build that defensive front. Saleh is known for the defensive front he built at the Niners. It was ridiculous. So why not pick a guy in Gregory Rousseau who maybe be a little raw, but, you're a specialty at building defensive linemen, so you get this guy. He comes in, he fits your plans perfectly, and you start building a great defense. That's what would help the Jets a ton, is having a defense that could allow their offense more time and opportunity. So Saleh helps start that mantra by taking Gregory Rousseau to rebuild that defensive line. The Steelers, I hate this pick. I hate it. I get it. I don't like it. I didn't want to do it. I looked for a ton of other things. They take Najee Harris. They need him. He's going to fit like a Le'Veon Bell and kind of give them that chance to stay on the field more than just Big Ben throwing it 60 times and lots of drop passes and all this craziness. But they brought Juju back. They're going to have to figure out their O-line later. Najee Harris makes sense. I just don't like him this high. I think he's a very great running back. I just don't think him or ETN makes sense this high. But I think that really is what the Steelers will do. So we'll move on. We go to Jacksonville Jaguars. They got Trevor Lawrence. They could go another skill position here. But I think they realize that Lawrence is going to give their offense a great opportunity to be successful with James Robinson. Their O-line's not great. I really wanted to go tackle here, but I instead think that they go ahead and improve their DB room. And I think they take, I'm going to mess his name up, Trayvon Moehrig. I hopefully didn't mess it up too bad, but I did this for a couple reasons. The Jags safety room is okay, but you bring in Trayvon, who could be a free safety and roam over top, and he has great ball skills and could come in and really allow their DB room to move around a little bit. He could even do slot corner. I think he could do the slot corner. I think he even is a pretty decent run defender as long as somebody helps temper the aggression he has and kind of can bring his tackling technique up a level. But I think this is a great pick, helps the Jags defense a ton, and I think they'll kind of work on their offensive line a little later. And their wide receiver room is full of a bunch of could be greats, Marvin Jones, and I think Shark's still there, and so hopefully this pick kind of helps bolster the whole team. I think Urban Meyer is known for building teams, and he sees this as a great chance to improve cornerback and safety position all in one shot and allow their defense to hang on a little bit in some of these games where you have like a Derrick Henry and a Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack kind of running over everybody, and then they're slinging out these passes because everybody's loading the box. I just think this works out really well and helps them a lot in their own division, which obviously is the first way to be successful and then get to your conference. So good pick for the Jags. I like what they're doing there. Hate that I'm a Colts fan, they're in my division, but I do like what they're doing there. Move on to the Browns. Like I said, they saw the Bucs destroy some teams in the playoffs with their defensive line. They got Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. Why not add another first-round talent and make your defensive line scary? I mean, hard for any opposing offenses to run on. So I think they go with Christian Barmore here. Some people really don't like him. Some people have him out of the first round. I don't know. I mean, he's a D tackle out of Alabama. He's played some really good opponents. He's had good help on his defense, but he's a big guy, and I think that he can fit in really well with what Kevin Stefanski's doing there. He's a great offensive mind, so why not be great offensively, but also have a dominant defensive front that does the first thing and stops the run. So good pick. I like it a lot. We come up to the Ravens, who traded Orlando Brown away. Not for this pick, for the 31st pick. But I think it was a good idea. They don't want to pay that guy left tackle money and make him a right tackle and piss him off and have issues with contracts and all that stuff. So they completely avoid that. But they don't go tackle here. Instead, they go edge, and they take Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia, who is a great prospect, and he kind of fits exactly what the Ravens like. A pass rusher who has shown that he can, make an impact in the game. So I think he comes in and, like I said with the Browns, helps bolster their offensive front to take away some of these great offenses. So it's a good pick here, and I think they'll adjust later and make a couple other picks to help their offensive line. But I think their defense could use some good youth too. So we'll see how that plays out. They got another pick coming up. This is possibly my favorite pick in the whole draft. I don't understand it. I know this cornerback class is fantastic, but Asante Samuel Jr. has shot up some boards, has slid down some boards. Some people have. I've seen mock drafts where this guy goes in the third round, and I just think everybody is crazy. I think he could be a top 15 player. I understand that he's a little undersized, but, great players figure it out. Russell Wilson's undersized. Kyler Murray's undersized. Tyreek Hill's undersized. And these all are guys that are having excellent careers. So I think Asante Samuel Jr. is the next undersized guy who has a great career. Listen, his dad was brilliant. I mean, I'm not saying he was the greatest cornerback ever, but he was a great cornerback. And, he taught his son everything he could. I mean, his son obviously is very physically gifted, even though he's undersized. But then to have this father as a coach teaching you everything, I mean, his instincts and how smart he is are great. And I just think that the Saints nail this pick. And they needed cornerback help. So it's not like it was reach or somebody they didn't really need or anything. I just think this pick makes way too much sense. And I think that, he has defensive rookie of the year material. I seriously think Asante Samuel Jr. could be the best defensive player in this draft. And I think in a couple of years, people will look back and realize they made a big mistake, which is ironic because I think the Packers absolutely were waiting for him to slide. I think they were crossing their fingers, hoping he would slide back, and they would go with Asante Samuel Jr. to kind of help their cornerback room, and they're devastated. Now, what do we do? Oh, God, do we draft another quarterback because we're crazy? We can't draft a wide receiver because we don't like wide receivers. What do we do? And I think they finally get their head out of their butt. Obviously, they know more than me, but I think they finally try to take a wide receiver, and they don't do Terrence Marshall or Kadarius Toney. I think they take Elijah Moore. I think if you match Moore's skill set and reliability with Devontae Adams, I think the Packers are just going to be a very tough team to beat. They got a good run game. They need to figure out their interior offensive line after letting one of the best players in the league go because they didn't want to pay him. And they paid Aaron Jones, who I don't get that much. I like him a lot, but I don't know. So they got to figure out a few things. But adding Elijah Moore, I think, helps a lot and can allow, people have to respect Adams so much. But then you add Moore, who is possibly going to be a top 3 wide receiver in this class coming into the season. How do you protect it? You got Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and Elijah Moore. It's going to be a great offense. Aaron Rodgers is able to get rid of the ball quicker, so that'll help the O-line a little bit. And I think that it's a fantastic pick, and Packers Nation goes crazy. Cheeseheads all the way, everywhere. Everybody's going to be going crazy. We go to the Bills pick. I think the Bills will go ahead and go edge here to help their defense. Their defense has kind of been underperforming in my opinion, especially with McDermott, who I think is an excellent D-line coach. I think Awole fixes a lot of that. Some people have him sliding way out of the first. I saw a draft where he was like in the 3rd round. It was early 3rd round, but it made no sense to me. He's very talented. Maybe he hasn't got as much hype, but he is an athletic freak. He's going to come in, high motor, push the pocket around, help all these other defensive linemen and help the Bills defense. And then in turn, that'll give the offense a lot more opportunities. So not a crazy pick that everybody is looking at, but I think a very solid pick there for the Bills. So we come back to the Ravens. I really thought about trading down, but I just don't know that they want to trade down and risk losing out on some of these offensive linemen. I think they go ahead and take Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. I think they like his size and how he has had some flexibility playing guard and tackle. I believe it was only left tackle, but I think they actually switch him to right tackle, and he does fine. The Ravens move around so much. They have so much craziness. I think that his big body and the promise of the talent that he's shown at Alabama works out really well. And if they do get in injury trouble again, he can move around a little bit. So I think that that's a really good pick for them. And then we come to the Colts, my Colts, the people I love, the people I will stay up till 2 in the morning waiting for their pick, only for them to trade out of it. I think they are very comfortable and happy to have slid back, got more picks, and they like where they're sitting, and they take Samuel Cosmi. This guy is great. I love his frame and how he's built, and he's kind of already been known to be that blindside tackle. He's so heavy. He's got really good hands. He's not perfect, but I think the Colts plug him in right away, right next to Quentin Nelson, and it's perfect. I think they got their left side of their line set for the next 10, 12 years. I really honestly think that Nelson and Cosmi will work together and create just a ridiculous pass blocking and run blocking part of their offensive line. And I think the whole offensive line will work really well together. But with Mack and Taylor running behind Cosmi and Nelson, I think defenses are going to have a very, very hard time. Very, very hard time. You keep Nelson in his natural spot where he's an all-pro and don't have to lose some of his talent by moving him out to a position he's not used to. And I just think this works out great. So this went longer than I was hoping, but I really wanted to explain everything to you guys. Let me know what you think. Hate it, love it, think I'm stupid. Tell me. You're not going to offend me. Say whatever you want. But lastly, I just want to thank NFL Mock Draft Database. If you haven't used the site, please do. Check it out. It's amazing. You have Twitter, follow them on Twitter. They're just awesome. If you like mock drafts, this seriously is where you should go. You don't have to pay anything crazy to try to make trades and all that stuff, and you can set it up however you want. He's got player, information, and it's just fantastic. He's got old mock drafts, all of it. So please check him out. Consider donating. It's a great website that is free, and the guy does tons of great work, and he's constantly updating things. So check it out. But other than that, thanks so much for checking out this mock draft. I appreciate it. I hope everybody has a good day and everybody can enjoy the draft and their teams do well. Peace. With